You know that feeling when the day finally ends, but instead of relaxing, you just feel too tired to do anything and too wired to actually unwind. But what if making your evenings feel calmer didn't require a complete overhaul of your routine or a complicated wind-down ritual? Today we're going to explore one simple shift that can bring a sense of calm to your evenings without asking you to reset your entire evening. This matters because so many of us carry the day's tension into the night, and that can make it hard to truly relax or sleep well. When you practice this shift consistently, you may notice that your evenings start to feel more spacious and less rushed, even on busy days. The key is understanding that calm doesn't come from doing more, but from letting go of the pressure to have a perfect evening routine. In this video, I'll walk you through this approach step by step, keeping it practical and gentle so you can try it tonight. So let's start by looking at the one thing that often makes evenings feel more chaotic than they need to be. When I say making your evenings feel calmer without a full reset, I mean finding small ways to slow down without overhauling your entire routine. It's not about turning your night into a spa session or following a strict wind-down checklist. Instead, it's about noticing the moments you already have and letting them feel a little softer. For example, you might pause for 30 seconds after you close your laptop instead of jumping straight into the next task. A common misunderstanding is that calm requires a big-time commitment, but that's not true at all. The relief here is that you don't need to change everything to feel more at ease. The takeaway is that calm can be woven into your existing evening, not added on top of it. Let's explore why this gentle approach matters so much for your everyday well-being. Your evenings set the tone for how you rest and how you wake up the next morning. When you carry stress or mental clutter into the night, it can affect your sleep quality and your mood. A calmer evening doesn't just feel nice in the moment. It actually helps your brain shift into a restful state. Think of it as giving your mind a quiet signal that the day is done, without needing a dramatic switch. Many people overlook this because they think relaxation has to be earned or planned in advance, but the truth is, even a few minutes of intentional calm can lower your heart rate and ease tension. The benefit is that you protect your energy for the next day without burning out trying to reset. Now, let's look at what life feels like when this calm is missing. Without a calmer evening, you might find yourself lying in bed with your mind still racing through the day's events. You could feel restless, like you never really stopped even after you've put your phone down. This often leads to poor sleep, waking up tired and starting the next day already behind. It's not that you're doing anything wrong, it's that your nervous system hasn't had a chance to settle. A common pitfall is thinking that exhaustion alone will bring rest, but that's rarely the case. The frustration here is real, because you want to feel peaceful but don't know how to get there without a big effort. Recognizing this pattern is the first step toward changing it, and it's simpler than you think. Next, we'll uncover the habits and beliefs that keep this cycle going. If this idea of easing into a calmer evening without a full reset resonated with you, I'd love to hear about it. What's one small thing you already do to help yourself unwind at the end of the day? Or maybe there's a new step from this video you're curious to try. Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments below. It helps others feel less alone in their own routines. While you're here, hitting the like button helps more people find these practical ideas. And if you haven't already, consider subscribing so you don't miss future videos on building a calmer, happier life. There's more gentle guidance coming your way, all focused on real, everyday shifts. Thanks for being part of this conversation. I appreciate you. One of the biggest blocks is the belief that you have to finish everything before you can relax. You might tell yourself, I'll rest once I've checked all my emails or cleaned up, but that list never ends. Another pattern is reaching for your phone or turning on the TV as soon as you have a free moment, which keeps your brain active. These habits aren't bad in themselves, but they can prevent that natural shift into calm. A common misunderstanding is that relaxation is something you do, not something you allow to happen. The insight here is that you don't need to eliminate these habits, you just need to add a tiny pause before them. The relief is that you're not failing at relaxation, you're just following patterns that can be gently adjusted. Now, let's talk about the first mindset shift that can open the door to calmer evenings. The first mindset shift is to stop seeing calm as something you have to earn or schedule. Instead, view it as something you can invite into your evening, even for just a few seconds. This means letting go of the idea that a calm evening requires a perfect routine or a completely quiet house. You can start by accepting that small moments of stillness count, even if they feel brief. A realistic truth is that your evenings will never be perfectly calm, and that's okay. The benefit of this shift is that it removes the pressure to get it right, which itself creates more calm. The takeaway is that you already have permission to feel at ease. You just need to give yourself that permission. With this mindset in place, let's move to the first practical step you can take tonight. The first practical step is to create a simple transition moment between your daytime activities and your evening. This could be as easy as taking 3 slow breaths while standing at your kitchen counter or sitting on the edge of your bed. The key is to do it without any agenda, just noticing the shift from doing to being. You don't need to set a timer or use an app, just let yourself pause for 10 to 15 seconds. A common mistake is to skip this because it feels too small to matter, but that tiny pause signals your brain to slow down. The relief is that you're not adding a new task, you're just inserting a brief gap into what you already do. Once you've tried this transition moment a few times, you'll start to notice how it changes the rest of your evening. In the next part, we'll explore how to build on this simple step without overwhelming yourself. So what does a calmer evening actually look like when you're not trying to overhaul everything? It's not about having a perfectly quiet house or a strict wind-down routine. Instead, it's the feeling of moving through your evening with less internal rush. Even if things are still happening around you, you might be folding laundry while a podcast plays softly, but your shoulders aren't tense and your mind isn't racing to tomorrow. The key is that you're not fighting the evening, you're just letting it unfold without adding extra pressure to relax correctly. This kind of calm feels more like a gentle pause than a dramatic reset, and it's surprisingly sustainable. You start to notice small moments like the way the light changes or the sound of your own breathing without forcing them. Once you see what this actually looks like, the next step is finding one simple practice that helps you get there naturally. One of the most effective practices I've found is what I call a transition breath between your last task of the day and your evening. It's not a full meditation or a long ritual, just one conscious inhale and exhale before you shift gears. You can do it standing at the kitchen counter, sitting in your car, or even while you're still at your desk. The idea is to physically signal to your nervous system that the active part of your day is done. This tiny pause helps prevent that feeling of being dragged into the evening still carrying the day's mental load. Over time, this single breath becomes a cue that your brain learns to recognize, making the transition feel smoother without any extra effort. You don't need to remember a long routine, just one breath, right when you finish your last obligation. But even with a simple practice like this, people often stumble into a common mistake that can undo the calm. If you're looking for more gentle ways to bring calm into your evenings and daily life, I have a suggestion. Over at www.happylifetribe.com, you'll find a collection of practical ideas and encouragement. It's not about big overhauls, just small, doable steps that fit into your real routine. You'll also find support from others who are working toward a more intentional, peaceful lifestyle. Whether it's a simple wind-down ritual or a mindset shift, the site offers calm living inspiration without pressure. Think of it as a quiet space to explore what works for you at your own pace. If that sounds helpful, feel free to visit and see what resonates. No rush, no expectations, just a resource for when you want a little extra guidance. The most common mistake I see is trying to make the evening perfect by eliminating all stimulation at once. People think calm means silence, no screens, and a strict schedule which only adds pressure. That approach usually backfires because it feels like another chore you have to get right. Instead, the mistake is treating calm as something you achieve rather than something you allow. When you force yourself to be calm, your brain actually stays alert, waiting for the next instruction. The real shift happens when you stop trying to control every detail and just let the evening be what it is. A better approach is to keep one small, enjoyable activity, like a low-stakes hobby or a familiar show, as a gentle anchor rather than a strict rule. Once you let go of perfection, the whole process starts to feel much more realistic and less overwhelming. To make this feel realistic, you have to lower the bar for what counts as a calm evening. It doesn't have to be 2 hours of quiet reflection. It can be 10 minutes of not rushing. Start by identifying just one small window in your evening where you can consciously slow down, even if it's while brushing your teeth. The goal isn't to change your whole schedule, but to change your internal pace during that short time. Realistically, some evenings will still feel chaotic, and that's okay because you're not aiming for perfection. The relief comes from knowing that calm is available in small doses, not just in big, planned blocks. You can practice this by asking yourself, what's the smallest thing I can do right now to feel a little more settled? When you keep it that simple, it becomes something you can actually stick with, and that's when you start to notice real changes. As you practice this lighter approach, you'll notice your mind starts to settle earlier in the evening. Instead of replaying the day's worries or planning tomorrow's tasks, you find yourself more present in the moment. Emotionally, you feel less like you're bracing for the next thing and more like you can actually rest. That underlying tension that used to follow you into the evening begins to soften almost without you noticing. You might also find that you sleep better, not because you did a perfect wind down, but because your nervous system isn't still on high alert. The mental shift is subtle but powerful. You stop seeing the evening as something to get through and start seeing it as time that belongs to you. This change builds gradually, so don't expect it overnight. Just trust that each small pause adds up. Once you feel even a hint of that relief, the next question is how to keep it going when life inevitably gets busy again. When life gets hectic, the first thing we usually drop is the very practice that helps us feel calm. To keep momentum, you need to make your evening calm practice as small and flexible as possible. On busy days, that might mean just one conscious breath before you walk through the door and nothing more. The key is to never skip the practice entirely. Just shrink it down to the tiniest version that still counts. This prevents the all-or-nothing trap where you give up completely because you can't do the full version. You can also remind yourself that a busy evening doesn't have to be a stressful one. It just requires a different kind of attention. Keep your practice anchored to a specific trigger, like finishing dinner or turning off your work device, so it becomes automatic. With that anchor in place, you'll be ready to explore how to deepen this calm even further in the next part of the video. Over weeks and months, this small evening practice starts to reshape how your whole day feels. You might notice that your mind no longer races the moment you sit down at night. Instead, a quiet sense of permission settles in, like your brain finally trusts that rest is allowed. This happens because you've trained your nervous system to expect a gentle transition, not a sudden stop. At first, the change feels fragile, but with repetition, it becomes a natural part of your rhythm. You'll find yourself looking forward to evenings instead of dreading the crash that used to follow. The calm begins to spill into your mornings too, because you're not starting the next day already exhausted. This is the slow, steady way that a single shift can quietly transform your entire week. One of the nicest parts of building a calmer evening routine is knowing you're not doing it alone. At Happy Life Tribe, we have a growing community of people who are also learning to slow down and find more peace. You can connect with others who understand the struggle of winding down after a busy day. Sharing small wins and gentle ideas makes the whole process feel lighter and more encouraging. If you'd like to be part of that, consider subscribing to the channel and visiting www.happylifetribe.com. There you'll find a space where it's okay to take things one step at a time. No one expects perfection, just a willingness to try something new for yourself. I'd love to have you join us on this journey toward calmer, more intentional evenings. Even after weeks of progress, a stressful day can still throw your evening calm completely off track. You might come home late, feel overwhelmed, and fall right back into old habits like scrolling or rushing. This is not a sign that your practice failed. It is simply part of being human. The challenge is that your brain will try to convince you that one bad evening means you've lost everything. But the truth is, a single setback does not erase the foundation you've already built. What matters is how you respond to that moment, not that it happened at all. You can acknowledge the slip without judgment and simply return to your practice the next evening. This resilience is what makes the change real, not the absence of any difficulty. When you notice yourself slipping back into old patterns, the first step is to pause without self-criticism. Take a slow breath and remind yourself that this is a normal part of any lasting change. Then, choose one tiny action that feels doable, like sitting still for just 2 minutes before doing anything else. You don't need to recreate your entire evening routine. Just reconnect with the feeling of slowing down. The mistake is to think you have to make up for lost time by doing more, but that only adds pressure. Instead, let the recovery be gentle and brief, enough to remind your body what calm feels like. Within a day or two, your rhythm will return if you allow it to, without force. This kind of recovery builds trust in yourself because you learn that you can always come back. This approach helps most people who feel like their evenings are stolen by exhaustion or restlessness. It is especially useful if you have a demanding job, a busy family, or a mind that never seems to quiet down. The reason it works is that it doesn't ask you to overhaul your life, just to add a small pocket of stillness. People who struggle with perfectionism often find relief here because there is no right way to do it. It also helps those who feel guilty for resting because the practice is framed as a gentle choice, not a reward. If you've tried complicated evening routines and failed, this simpler version might finally stick. And if you simply want to feel more present with the people you love, this calm can make that possible. In short, it helps anyone who wants evenings to feel like a soft landing, not a second shift. To start today, pick one small anchor that signals the beginning of your evening calm. It could be turning off the overhead light, lighting a candle, or sitting in your favorite chair for 3 minutes. Do not try to plan a full routine. Just commit to that single anchor every evening for the next week. When you do it, let yourself notice how your body feels without trying to change anything. If you miss a night, simply return to the anchor the next evening without any guilt or catch-up. After a week, you can add one more small element, like a few slow breaths or a quiet moment of gratitude. Keep the additions minimal so the practice stays easy and sustainable even on hard days. That is the entire plan, simple enough to follow and gentle enough to actually work. This change is worth practicing because it gives you back something that busy life often steals, a sense of ease. You don't need a perfect evening or a full reset to feel calm, just a small, consistent invitation to slow down. Over time, that invitation becomes a habit, and the habit becomes a quiet refuge you can always return to. There will be days when it feels pointless, and days when it feels like the only thing that holds you together. Both are part of the process, and both teach you something about what you truly need. The goal is not to eliminate stress, but to create a space where you can rest even when stress is present. You already have everything you need to begin, a few minutes, a willingness to pause, and a little patience with yourself. So tonight, give yourself that small gift and let it be enough. I hope this video gave you a few simple ideas for making your evenings feel a little calmer without needing to overhaul your whole routine. Remember, you don't have to do everything at once. Just one small shift can make a real difference over time. If you found this helpful, please give this video a like and subscribe to Happy Life Tribe for more gentle, practical guidance. For extra encouragement and calm living inspiration, visit our online community at www.happylifetribe.com. There you'll find more ideas, support, and a mindful lifestyle approach that fits into real life. You're not alone in wanting more peace in your evenings, and we're here to help you build that step by step. Thank you for spending this time with me today. I hope you feel a little more ready to wind down tonight. Take care, and I'll see you in the next video.